It is 6 o'clock, July the 6th, 2020. It's time to call the city council meeting to order. Mr. Rhodes, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Austin?
Here.
Mr. Blankenship?
Here.
Mr. Hukin?
Here.
Ms. Jones?
Here.
Ms. McGinnis?
Here.
Mr. Rainierson?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Ryan Reed, would you lead us through the pledge and prayer, please?
Yes, sir. That's great. Our Father, we come to you tonight and thank you for the privilege that we've recently had to celebrate our freedom and liberty here in this country. Thank you also for the privilege it is to gather again here in this place and assemble tonight to carry out these matters of business here in our city. Whether it's a zoning matter, budgetary matter, grant matter, we pray that you give wisdom to all the decisions that are being made here. Pray that you grant this council just good stewardship of the influence and responsibility they have tonight. Pray your blessings upon this meeting and your help for wisdom to make the right decisions. In your name we pray. Amen. I'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You have a seat.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for attending the meeting tonight. It's always good to see halfway decent crowd. Sometimes we don't have anybody and they're no fun. So anyway, tonight this gets us to announcements, presentations, public comments. Marty, sir.
We've only got the farmer's market going. We just want to thank everybody for their support, a lot of you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other presentations, comments, announcements? Yes, ma'am.
If I could just show my shirt again, this is, the Franklin Chamber is putting out a shirt to remind everybody to support local. It's designed by T-Shirt Express. They're $20. They can be found on our website. 100% of your $20 goes to support local small businesses.
And thank you, Rosie, and local chamber, how you operate. Thank you. Any other? Hearing none, we will go to consent agenda.
Mayor, move to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Second, so we have a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will go into old business.
Move to read old business by title only.
Second.
And second by Mr. Buchanan to read old business by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we will go into our first item. Approval of budgetary ordinance number 20-07, appropriation reduction, MVH fund, capital 400, amount of $108,097.55, clerk treasurer Jane Rose.
Thank you, sir. This is to do, as I explained last meeting, for the community crossings grant. We are taking money from the MVH fund, and so therefore, that was already appropriated in the budget, so I have to send a paper in to the DLGF that states that we are reducing that budget, and $108,000 will go for our match for community crossings.
And with that being said, this is a public hearing, so I will open this up now for the public hearing. If anyone has any other questions on the matter of Ms. Rose, just keep speaking. Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Council, do you have any other questions? I think this was introduced the last meeting, is that correct? Yes. All right, hearing none, no other questions from the council, I think we're ready for a motion.
I move to approve budgetary ordinance number 20-07. Second.
Motion and a second, is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on to item number 2. This is also a public hearing. Approval of budgetary ordinance number 20-08, an additional appropriation local road and bridge matching grant fund capital 400, an amount of $338,404.67 for the treasurer Jane Rose.
This is the second part of our community crossings money. This is the money that we'll be putting in to do the match and needs to be appropriated so that it can.
Okay, so we will open this up for a public hearing. Is now any questions from the crowd? I will just let you know that, for those that don't know, we received a $1 million grant from the state this year, the Community Crossings Grant, and this is our matching part of it. So Mark Richards worked real hard to put the program together. Good job, we got the grant. It's my understanding that the state for the second half of this year, because of COVID and money restraints, that there will not be a second grant application accepted this year. So again, the city of Franklin was on top of it and done their due diligence and we got in on the grant and didn't miss out on it. So just want to put that out there. So we're still open for public hearing if anybody's got any questions. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. And again, ask the council if you have any other questions.
I'll move for approval of budgetary ordinance 2008.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll go on to item 3. This is a two-part motion. So the first one, will go with approval of ordinance number 20-07, annexation being known as Tressler GR2 land, Davis annexation, and approval of resolution. I should stop it.
That's okay. Continue.
All right, the second part of it is an approval of resolution 20-11 fiscal plan.
Good evening, Joanna Myers with the, I forget where I work. City of Franklin Planning Department. I was on vacation last week, I guess I'm not back yet. Also with me this evening is Max Hauser and Ken Kern representing Sunbeam Development. The request before you is for the approval of 433 acres to be annexed to the city of Franklin. It's located east of Jim Block Road and north of State Road 44. This did go through Planning Commission and has been forwarded to you with a favorable recommendation by a 6-0 vote. Also included with this request for annexation is a fiscal plan. The fiscal plan can be adopted this evening, but would have to be after the public hearing. There were a couple of things I did want to go over with the fiscal plan. It's a little different than what we've seen in the past. This one actually does include 2 capital projects that are currently under design and future construction. So typically, if you see on page 2 of the fiscal plan, the way that we kind of estimate for property that is industrial in nature is based off of what our current level of service is through the city of Franklin. We divide it by number of households and then also by acreage. Since there will not be any households, we then figure it up just based off the acreage, and like I said, it is an estimate. So that's outlined in the top page of page 2. Under the extension of services, the 2 capital projects that I have made reference to is the extension of sanitary sewer service, which for this property is estimated to be $1.65 million and is being financed by the Department of Public Works. And then the other one is the reconstruction of Jim Block Road, which is approximately $2.365 million. And the city will fund the portion of construction from State Road 44 to the north property line of I-65 Commerce Park Building Number 1. The remaining portion is anticipated to be funded by future development. So that is a little different than what we've seen in our other annexations through my tenure here. They do not include any capital projects, I did want to note that. But this is ready for public hearing on the annexation of this plan.
So we want to do the Tressler GR2 public hearing first. before
Correct.
the fiscal plan.
Correct.
Okay, so as Joanna stated, we will now open this up for public hearing for the approval of ordinance number 20-07, annexation to be known as Tresco DR2 Land Davis annexation portion of this. Okay. So it's open for public hearing. If there's any questions from anyone on this, please feel free. Now's the time. Then we have, it comes back next meeting, correct?
It will come back at the next meeting, July 20th, for actual action.
And at that point, we could, if we chose to have another public hearing. Yes, okay. So it is open now for public hearing. Do not hear anybody ask questions at this time, so I will close the public hearing on this issue. We'll be back on this item. It's not an issue. On this item, we'll be back on July 20th to take action. So the next one is also a public hearing. It's not a public hearing.
We're still in the resolution.
Okay, go ahead.
We will need official action on the resolution of the fiscal plan, and we are requesting that it be approved with the president of the council as the signee.
Okay, that's the one.
Okay, just want to make sure. We actually got 3 this evening, so it gets a little confusing.
So we have another public hearing on the resolution or on the fiscal plan. So it is now open for public hearing. Does anybody have any questions on that? I will close the public hearing. Does the council have any questions on the fiscal plan? If not, I think we're ready for action on this one.
Mayor, I move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Fiscal plan resolution.
Yes. Approval of resolution 2011 fiscal.
That's 2020-11.
Yeah.
That was my motion.
That was Sean's second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. So we'll go to the next one, which is also a public hearing. Approval of ordinance number 40-08, rezoning to be known as GR2 Land Davis rezoning, senior planner Joanne Knox.
Good evening, this is the companion piece with the annexation. The western half of that property was already zoned industrial light. The eastern portion is currently zoned agriculture. The request is to rezone that portion to industrial light. This was also heard by the Planning Commission, and they did forward a favorable recommendation to the council as a 6-0 vote. This is ready for public hearing.
So with that being said, we're now going to open this up to public hearing. Final action will be July 20th. So again, we're open for public hearing on resolution 20-14 and ordinance 20-08. Mike, have any questions? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing and come back and take action July 20th.
We'll need the council to make a motion to table this till that meeting. The only reason that we do request that it be tabled is because it is a companion piece with the annexation. We tend to try to take those together. That way we know that the property's been annexed and then the rezoning.
I'm glad you forgot where you work because I forget how this rolls.
That's okay. I don't know which is worse.
Mayor, I'll move to table the matter until the July 20th city council meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you.
That gets us to new business.
Move to read new business for title only. Second.
A motion and a second to read new business by title only. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Item 1 must be Fire Chief Matt Cole. Request approval to apply for 2021 IPEP safety grant.
Okay, so IPEP is our workers' comp organization that we belong to. And as of this year, we're on track. We've already had 4 work-related injuries that have resulted in lost time for the firemen. And that's pretty typical, so we've been working with IPEP to try to work on loss injury prevention. And their safety grant has opened up, and along with their representative, we are looking to purchase some hose running equipment, and it's $8,100 worth of equipment with a 20% match. For us, so it's $1,620, which we will find in our budget somewhere. And we chose this because some of the sections of hose that we have, a 100-foot section of 5-inch weighs approximately 1,000 pounds when it's full of water. It takes about 7 guys to move it, drain it, and restore it back onto the truck. With the machinery, it's going to take 3 guys. It'll drain it automatically on its own. It'll move it for us, so we don't have to lift it up. When it's dry, it's about 200 pounds. And then it'll also facilitate getting it back on the truck easier. So that is what we'd like to do with the application if you approve us to apply for.
And I would say something funny, but it'd probably be taken wrong, so I'm not gonna say it.
You can tell me later, sir.
So I think on this one, we need a motion to say yes with the grant or
Yes.
no.
I make a motion to approve the
Second.
application.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the application for the grant. All right. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. That gets us to a good item. They're all good. This one's pretty exciting for me. Request approval of splash pad MOU with American Water Charitable Foundation. And Community Development Specialist Dana Monson. I don't think we really need action taken. We just want to make the council aware of the good deed that Dana Monson applied for the grant. Chip's not taking any credit. He said it was all Dana. And we were awarded this grant, so.
So we applied for a grant from the American Water Charitable Foundation for the splash pad to go in at the amphitheater park. This is a national award. This goes around. They put this application out, so all 50 states, they can apply for this. They gave out 2 awards this year. It was us and Lawson, Missouri. So out of the entire country, only 2 communities were able to get this award. This is a $250,000 grant. There is no match that is required, which is pretty amazing for that. Looking at the total cost for the splash pad is going to be about $300,000. So Chip, the Parks Board has confirmed that we'll have the other $50,000. So we're going to be getting a new splash pad. So as we said, this is really information for you to be aware of because there will be a press release coming out Wednesday. So we wanted you to know that the city was able to secure this. This is pretty amazing, pretty big deal. So this time next year, adults and children will be able to go down and enjoy a splash pad.
If everything goes right, the amphitheater should be opened up this time next year. If
That's the goal. So
plan.
at the end of July, I think July 31st is our deadline. So we're pretty comfortable to meet that. So after Wednesday, Chip has some preliminary drawings, some ideas of what things will look like. So we'll be able to share those. We have to wait for the requirements of the MOU that was signed tonight by the Board of Works. We're not allowed to make a formal public presentation, although they're aware that this is a public meeting and this is going to be going out. But after they send out their press release, we'll be having one from the city, and we'll have a lot more details on what everything's going to look like. But we're getting a really cool splash pad.
And you want to just kind of talk a little bit about why it's not Indiana American Water, it's just American Water?
It's American Water because it goes across the country, so this is part of the foundation that is a nationwide foundation. So they do activities literally from coast to coast. So this is a major deal. This is also with the National Parks, our National Recreation Park Association. So they work through them as well. So again, this was an opportunity that's open to just about any parks department in the country. And so we're really excited to be able to work on this.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
applying.
when you do.
Awesome.
Congratulations.
Where you gonna put it? Chip?
Probably not.
No. So, we'll release that on
Yeah,
Wednesday. If you've seen, I know you've seen the layout of it, so the playground that's completed this part, it's gonna sit just kind of north, like, kind of all in one cluster.
Sure, it'll be amazing.
Looks really good.
Thank you.
Well,
So that gets us to other business, and there's nothing on the agenda, not other business, but before we get to council member comments, I want to go ahead and bring this up. Chief Cochran, somebody who was here for the Board of Works meeting. Chief, do you want to get up and just talk a little bit about body cams and
Yeah, I can.
and of course, he's moving up there. We had sent out to all the councilmen, I don't know if you've seen it yet, we sent to Board of Works. There's about a 45 to 50-minute presentation. I know Sean has seen it with myself, and Kirby and Lynn, as Kenny, we watched it. And I want the next meeting, which is July 20th, we're going to bring it forward with a plan, how do we buy them, how do we pay for them, where we're at with it. I want you to watch the film. I don't want to bring a film here for 50 minutes. We'll probably have a shorter version. It's what the company's telling us that we can watch. So if you have any questions ahead of time, you can reach out to Chief Cochran or the manufacturer on how they work and what it's all about. But it's real good. And if there's anybody else that want to ask about, can I see it from the presentation, give Tara an email address, we can send an email out. I mean, it's pretty educational, but it takes a few minutes to watch. So I didn't think everybody wants to sit here and watch the presentation for 50 minutes in the council meeting. But anyway, with that said, Chief, you go ahead.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback on that. Anybody that has any questions about this particular body camera or any body camera, in-car camera questions in general, my phone number's out there. My personal cell phone number's everywhere, but my email address is even further. And Tara can kind of put that out on the site if you want, so the public can call and ask questions. Believe it or not, and Mayor and I talked about this, when we started looking at this was early on. I know the previous administrations looked at it as well. And the cost is astronomical. A lot of cities can't afford it, that's why they don't have it. Ironically, 2 years ago at the International Police Chief Conference, we bumped into a company there. There's hundreds of companies out there selling camera equipment for vehicles and body cameras. This particular company stands out simply, it's much more affordable for us. It's a cloud-based system, so we're not buying, as Rick, where he's at, he's gone. We're not having to buy a lot of technological equipment. Have run to store equipment for years and all that. It is a cloud-based system. The camera is not a camera. One thing we're worried about for safety with officers is we're going to get video footage and we're going to share it. We need to share all of it, and we need to have all of it. With some of these body cameras, what you're seeing as you're looking at cameras is you have a bad angle over here, or the cameras fell off during an altercation. This particular camera, basically it just utilizes something about the size of your phone. It basically is a Moto GP phone. Mounts inside the zipper part of your uniform and slides in. It locks into like a holster cradle, and it looks like just a button on your shirt. So really, you wouldn't even know it's there. You're not gonna look any different. You don't have to worry about falling off in a scuffle, and you're gonna get video footage that is, straight ahead, and everywhere your body's moving, where your head goes, your body will go, trust me. So the camera, it picks up really well. The biggest feature I like about this particular equipment, which, financially, it's would have been impossible for us to be able to afford. All the data stores, the equipment, everything it follows with most of this equipment, let alone adding an in-car camera system. This company, it's all one package. It's not you can't just buy this and get that. You got to buy it all. It all comes together. And the rationale behind that is, quite simply, is in order to get the best video footage, save us a lot of legal trouble down the road, hopefully, is we'll now have in-car camera footage of the officer. We'll know where the car's at. A lot of officers don't like it, but unfortunately, it's a GPS system also. Fortunately for administration, unfortunately for them. So we can track and monitor where the cars are at, where they're going, where they've been. If someone calls and says, hey, I haven't seen a car in my neighborhood forever, we'll be able to go backwards and we'll find that particular vehicle on that. It'll also help us be proactive in, we talked, I know Kenny and I met on some things like this, but we have targeted control zones in the city. Everybody knows in the city of Franklin, along with every other city, we do have hotspots that we try and target for drug activity and criminal activity. When we learn of that activity, we try and assign cars. This is a good way for us to manage those pockets, but also manage our officers. Should an officer get in a foot pursuit, not only is it tracking the vehicle, but it's tracking the body camera on the individual. So, at nighttime, we get a foot chase, we just had it happen. Night before last, a guy bails out of the car, takes off running into a wooded area. Now we got to send up a drone. Well, that takes time, and we got to send an officer out. If that officer were to go down, God forbid, in a shooting or just get injured, we're now looking for an officer. This equipment is GPS right on the spot. We can look it up. We can assign the mayor as a user, whoever that may be. Myself, if I'm at home, I'm able to get on and see what's going on, where these cars are at, where this individual might be. The other selling point for me was just talking with other departments throughout the country. At the Chiefs Conference, John Lout, Greenwich Police Chief, went with a company called Axon. It's the same company that provides your tasers. The problem is they're very expensive out of the gate, and then secondarily, it is a second piece of equipment, like a badge that's hanging from your shirt, kind of dangling around. You run the risk of falling off. And then the data storage is something separate, which I think the quote that previous Chief Tim had, he and I discussed this before, was it was about $1.5 million for all that equipment, all the data storage, and then to be able to maintain it. Some of you may have already heard some of that presentation. This is nowhere near that because it's a cloud-based program. They'll replace the equipment. They actually provide each officer with 3 new uniform tops, and then retrofit any other uniform tops we have, up to 5 at no cost. This is the key piece of it. Anything you think of that you saw in the presentation, you really need to see the presentation. That's why I think we sent it out in hopes that everybody would take a look at it themselves, develop your own opinion, and then, I think I can sell the product myself. Anyways, getting back to John Lout, sorry about that. John Lout approached me at this police chief conference as we were looking at some of this Axon equipment. So my thought, my mentality was, well, we already have this equipment, let's just buy a piece of partner equipment. So we go do this presentation. It was one of the things I didn't like about it. As we came out of the booth, John Lout says, hey, we just spent, $1.5 million on that equipment. I wouldn't buy it. Here's where you need to go, and this is why. So he took us over and introduced us to a gentleman he went to the FBI Academy with that was well versed on this particular equipment. We started talking, we got in the car, we looked at the equipment. It's easy, it's a plug-and-play system. They claim once it's all approved and all the paperwork signed, we're looking at like 60 days to get this program up and running. So
Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, it activates itself. It's, sometimes it's with body cams, the officer's got to turn them on and off.
Yep.
This one's on all the time, correct?
Yep, it'll come on, you can set it to activate with traffic stop. The other piece of that is if you turn on lights and sirens, the camera comes on automatically. Backs up 15 to 30 seconds, wherever we set it up. So you know what the officer is doing 15 seconds before that and 30 seconds before, depending on the parameters that are set at the time we agreed on. The other nice piece of that is, should we ever have an active shooting in the city, the minute that the officer draws a weapon out of the holster, whether it's your gun or your taser, the camera starts and backs up. It goes backwards. So you know what the officer was doing prior. We can extend that time backwards because a lot of times that conversation is had before things go bad. And that's what you don't get to see a lot of. And that's what those people in a lot of legal liability trying to prevent all that. And so this company has a lot of nice features. And that all that equipment is not something we got to buy extra. It's all in that package cost. So when you see it and you're looking at the video presentation, just keep in mind it's not like you're getting your hands on the please call myself. John Watson is our regional rep. And he had the equipment at his department up north. So it is tried, true, and tested. A lot of chiefs that he called are starting to ship that away. And the biggest selling point was the fact that it wasn't the piece of equipment laying on your body and in that cloud-based storage system. So the city's not required to be holding this data somewhere and then having to pay Rick or someone else to go back and redact the video. For the attorneys in the room, when you're talking about getting video footage of a shooting or an incident or just a legitimate complaint, maybe a lawsuit against the city for officer action, this equipment has the ability to redact some in the general public that we don't want to see, basically, because the question was, who's going to redact all this video? Are we going to have to hire another staff member? Because if that's the case, then it becomes something that's really not affordable. We really can't afford to be hiring staff members to just set away to redact video and send over to court. But this particular equipment has such an easy redaction feature. I guess is the most elementary way to say it. I virtually circled Kenny's face at the beginning of the video, and it takes care of it itself. So the only video you're going to get is what it sends you from that point on. So as you're looking at the video, those are little things that you're seeing, but for me, they're much bigger things. I don't have to pay someone to redact it. I don't have to have a server that houses all this material. It's all out there. It's all in that price. It's all inclusive, basically, is the easiest way to say it. But those features, officer going down, when you're drawing your weapon, when you're drawing your taser, when you activate your lights, where your location is, and all those things are, you can't put a price on that. If we get a guy hurt, we need to know where they're at, be able to get them medical help as quickly as we can, otherwise we get a bigger problem. So,
And I didn't mean to get this in depth tonight at the 20th, but I'll just bring up one more feature. If there's an active shooter in the schools,
yeah.
that's a feature that they can be tracked immediately and know where they're at in the building. It's
Yeah,
not
so-
like which room they in, you can find them. So,
Yeah, so there's a feature to this program, and that's, please tell us, end of the year, they're actually getting ready to do a test run. It's called gunshot detection. So basically what it does, it takes a normal outlet, say like an air freshener plug-in. It's about the size of an outlet cover. This box would actually plug into outlets in this building, if you want to put them in this building. We were thinking of the school systems for what was it, $5,000 to $10,000, depending on the size of the school. They take these boxes, they go into the school, and they put them in the hallways, they put them in every single classroom. So what happens is an active shooter enters the building and fires around. There's a sound that you can't hear that's similar to like a dog whistle or something, where a dog can hear it, you can't hear it, and it's an annoying feature. Well, a gunshot, what they found was it's the only company in the world that has this technology. And what they found was when that gunshot goes off, there's sound waves. They developed a piece of equipment their engineers have that pick up that, and it sends that message right to dispatch. It sends it to every patrol car that's responding to that area and says, hey, you got an active shooter at the high school. This is where they're at. They fire again as they're moving down the hallway, up the stairs, wherever, it tracks them. Doesn't mean no good as a police officer. Arrive on the scene, enter the building over here, and I got shooting going down here. So the loss of life in that, in a few seconds, a few minutes, this equipment paid for itself in one situation like that. That particular feature of it would be something that we discussed. Jeff Stool was on the call. We talked about maybe doing a partnership with them. It's $5,000 to $10,000. I mean, how do you put a price on, lives inside the school? You just can't do it. So that's a piece of equipment that is coming out. They're going to try and release that sometime in January, I think. So that would just kind of piggyback what we already have in place, should we be able to pull this off. So,
and then one other thing, and then I'll be quiet. Like I said, I didn't mean to go into deep discussion tonight. So the price before was, like we said, $1.5 million. I know Kenny, we was on the council, and Mayor McGinnis looked at doing that, and we all thought, how do we afford that? We just figured we couldn't afford it now. Well, the price of it now is like $600,000, and I know you're probably saying, well, how can it be so much cheaper? The reason it is, that was 3 or 4 years ago. The technology's come a long way, And I think everybody would be impressed whenever they see what it is. I know Rick was really impressed with the technology and the presentation. So anyway,
It's cutting edge technology. It's, you know, stuff the military uses, basically. It's amazing. And the price point is amazing compared to what we saw 3 or 4 years ago. So, yeah, it's something that the council should consider at some point.
so
Yeah, to piggyback on that, I would say that everything that's going on in the country right now, we know we're under scrutiny, but on the same token, it's, you know, it's a lot more dangerous out there. It changes every day, just like cell phones and everything else, so, I wouldn't be an advocate of it. If we couldn't do the whole package, because I think we're gonna we need to do it right. And with all the research that's been done by myself, the deputy chief, Lieutenant General, 2 years ago, started this as well. We've all seen it, we've all had our hands on it. It's the best of the best, and I really feel like if we're gonna do it as a city, we need to do it and do it right.
I have a question. I know we can get into that next week, but have you talked to other departments across the country?
Oh, yeah.
This company?
Yes.
Okay.
Other companies that have, other departments that have used equipment, yeah. And John Lau, I talked to the sheriff about this also, because they're right in the middle of buying some equipment. And before I retired, the sheriff's department came over here, we had some of that old body equipment, that old body camera equipment that hung from your shirt. You had to go inside the department, you had to put it in a charger just like the old cell phones, you had to download it, and then you had to have the evidence tech, or whoever it was, redact it, download it, put it in the file, and it had to be housed on a server. I believe the sheriff's department is going to stay with Axon because they recently signed a contract with them on some other equipment, so it's probably more cost effective for them to stay where they're at. They've looked at the equipment. These other departments are all up north. He gave us a whole list, and it's in, I think it's in that presentation also, right?
Didn't he just say they just got the Indianapolis type contract to do all the Indianapolis
Yeah.
I think so. So they've got a number of local, and then he's got a lot yet. They've got a number of locals, and it's an amazing presentation. If you haven't watched it and seen it all of it, it's the stuff that they can do. And I've talked to a number of police officers from Louisville and other areas, and they've said that that's an awesome system. It's one of the best. And the biggest thing that they officers hated was what he's talking about now is the redaction and having to go back in and plug stuff in, and so you spend an hour and a half of your time waiting on stuff to download versus it automatically being there in the cloud ready to rock and roll. So
Yeah, the last feature of that, sorry Bob, the last feature of that is, let's just be real and say we have an issue with an officer that we're not sure what's going on, we can't locate the officer, or we have the ability as administrators, should we choose to do it, I can activate anybody's camera at any time. So those are all things that need to be discussed in policy. Where does that lie legally? Obviously, if they're in uniform and they got a body camera on, then they're working. So we're able to monitor kind of where they're at. Should they forget to do whatever it is they need to do, we'll be able to activate their cameras to kind of see what's going on. Or if we do have an active shooter situation and we want to find out what's going on with our officer before we enter a building, it's always nice to be able to know that equipment's on, and we can activate it and kind of see what's going on. It's all plug and play. It's not a lot of, the ironic thing about it is the current vendor we use to set up all of our police vehicles and our fleet, move over, and Brett's familiar with those folks. They do a fantastic job. They are already working with this company. They have one of the biggest contracts in the state with IMPD, with setting their cars up and all their equipment. They are also the company that this body camera system, Body Worn, utilizes to install. So that's what makes the equipment, a little bit quicker to install. They're all familiar with you, but they're already working together. And they've already developed a module that fits in the trunk, plug and play, it's ready to go. So it's a quick, easy operation. And in that contract, you'll see as you're going through it, anytime equipment needs to be replaced, that's all part of that price. They'll come out and replace it. The camera system changes, the technology changes, and I think you guys all heard this, Sean and Ken, they come out, they replace it for free. So get a sensor brakes on your holster, You know, it's not working, they come out and replace it.
I know you don't want to get into a lot of questions and answers, but I'm not, I'm going to say this, and I'll go on public record. I'm in favor of looking at something like this, and I appreciate the job that you are doing leading our police department. I get a lot of good comments, not only from the public, but from people that work under you, so that's a good thing. So I appreciate you bringing this in. And I'm sitting here just making a few notes, but what I'm going to ask the city to do is to kind of, at least for me, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the council, but I hope you might agree with this, is we need you to help us make this decision in a favorable way. But in order to do that, I think we need to make sure we're looking at a certain level of information that we can stand behind when it comes time to make a decision. Some of those things would be, and forgive me for just making, this is not meant to be a pick session or anything like that, but when we review this, and some of this may be in that video, which I've not watched at this point, but I'm interested in independent data, separate from the company that we're going to be purchasing the services through. What data is out there, and I know there's a lot of industry data that, and I'm not trying to burden somebody with that, but I'm going to be interested in knowing, like, at what level does a city determine that it can be affordable? In other words, we talked about it, maybe not affordable at $1.5 million, but it might be at $6 million. Is there a threshold based upon a city budget, or maybe a percentage of the police department, in which that is determined to be affordable? Because I want to at least know that before I make a positive vote on that, in order to do that. I would like to know, at least, are we going to seek, I always kind of cringe when somebody says, well, we need another quote. We've got to go to somebody else to get another quote. I kind of cringe on that. I just want to make sure, based again on independent information and data, that we're dealing with the best company out there for the dollars, okay? And again, I'm not quite sure what the law requires in terms of quoting on these type of things. I'm a little bit unsure about what our duties are as far as asking for other quotes, because sometimes that gets to be, it just muddies the process. But I just want to make sure that we've got independent information that supports the company that we would be going with, and also that they stand behind what they do. I also think that we should be looking at questions that I would have is, what kind of expenses would we have going forward once we get this? And I think we've all worked for companies where we've had, we've spent close to, I won't even say dollars, on a computer equipment or whatever it is to support this. Then we're going to find out in 3 years, well, they no longer support this anymore, so we have to upgrade everything. So now we're stuck doing that. Is that kind of thing going to do? Certainly, then how are we going to fund this thing? How are we going to pay for it? I don't know if we're going to get grant money to do that.
And that's what I said, the 20th, that's when I'm going to have that information on how we feel like we can do that.
And I'm just going to say, I'm big on independent information. I feel as long as, when we get a third party involved that can look at, give us some sites, not just from the insiders that we're dealing with, but also from somebody in the industry that has this information that would, support that. Help me say, yes, we want to do this, because I think it's something that's probably overdue for us to do. But again, what point are we big enough that we can afford this? And I'm confident that once we get it, your firm, your staff, and people under you will do it the right way. So
I think Bob, the video will answer some of those questions. But we have that's why this is good to have this discussion tonight. So if it doesn't answer those questions, we can be prepared for the next meeting for that. So if anybody else has got any questions?
Who produced the video? Who's done the video?
It's the company that sells the product.
Okay, so that raises a question for me.
But if you remember, and you'll see at the end, I think at the end of the video, there are some independent. There's some data out there.
Yeah, there's some data with it, and there's a number of other.
Yeah.
We could probably contact some other cities that have it without any question that have been using the system and what they feel about what.
I hear in Indiana as well.
Yeah, there's a number. Lafayette, I think they're based out of Lafayette, if I remember correctly, right? And I think so that's where they started, their test was with Lafayette, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
I'm not against looking at a video or looking at the information that they prepared, because obviously they're gonna want to put their best foot forward.
Yeah, it's a sales video.
So, but I'm gonna take a little bit of grain of salt as well.
Yeah, but I think there's a number of other cities locally that are using it.
There is, and I've already asked for some of that data, so it'll be coming. We just weren't sure how, if this was gonna go anywhere or whatever, but we've already asked for some of that data. We'll start collecting it. We can get that, Terry, get it sent out to everybody else. So there's a ton of data out there on all these body camera systems. I will tell you that we've reached out to several of them, including Axon, and just trying to get a price quote. It's incredible. They want to meet with Jane, they want to meet with this person or that person. Well, wait a minute. I'm the police chief. I want you to tell me what the equipment costs. Otherwise, there's no point wasting our time or any of your time if we can't afford it anyway. So I don't personally want to do business with people that can't give me some information. We didn't have it, and 2 international conferences. I mean, these people stand out. This is at Chiefs Conference, people from all over the world that are set up, and vendors, and you literally put hands on. That's the difficult part about having to do it over a video as opposed to not seeing the equipment, touching the equipment, or whatever. And they're willing to come and do that. It's just a matter of time constraints getting everybody together.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just real quick, it's never real quick. One other thing, just with that being said, I met with the last department head today on the budget. Talked to Jane about this today. I'll be sending it back to the Court Treasurer's Office tomorrow, and they're going to try to double check numbers this week. So next week, I'm going to, and Tara, you don't even know this one, I'm going to have Tara start reaching out to the council to set up independent council one-on-one meetings, like we've done in the past, to go over their budget. And Rob, what you asked about paying for it, that will be in the budget, like for like a 5-year plan, how do we pay for it? So that's where that's going to be a part of that. So anyway, that's all I got for tonight. How about Sean? How about yourself?
Nothing new tonight. I just note I won't be here the next meeting, so we're getting out on family vacation.
Okay, about Dan? Lisa, Jones?
I will not be at the next meeting either.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
No.
Mr. Ralston?
Shout out to Mr. Shastel, my CPA Rob. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Hughes?
Nothing further, thank you.
Okay. Ms. McGinnis?
Just want to say I went to the farmer's market this weekend. Marty mentioned it at the beginning of the meeting, and it was really good to see people out and about again, as well as all the shops, because, I was down there, so I had to stop in and see what was going on. So, but it was good to see everyone out and see the stores open and busy, so it was good.
Thank you. Mr. Myers?
My apologies that I was not at the last meeting. I was on family vacation, but I will be here the next meeting.
Okay. Ms. Rhodes?
I'm happy to say that we survived the 2018 audit and with no comments or anything, and they will start on Wednesday the 2019 audit. So just more fun and games than we can imagine.
And it's good. You guys did a great job making sure I stay in line. So
That's right.
I appreciate it. Rob, about you?
No, thank you.
Mayor Payne?
I don't think so.
You ready to go home, right?
Yeah, I was like, wait, you don't normally call me right now. You're throwing me off.
All right. So I don't have anything else. It was a great discussion tonight. I appreciate that. So need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.